In occasions, darkness is part of our genes, which makes it inevitable for the next generations to share it. And so, in consequence, this darkness is hereditary. I'm going to analyze the movie Hereditary that was released last year 2018, which has been claimed to be the new exorcist of this new age and has become an essential film of the contemporary gothic horror. Since the story begins, the movie itself introduces the plot of the story that goes around the characters and its house, which is an essential part of the story that I will talk about later. The story starts with the death of Ellen, the grandmother, who is a total strange at the beginning, but as the scenes continue, we start to realize who Ellen really was and how his daughter and the mother of the family, Annie, discovers the deep and dark side of her past life. Everything begins in the funeral when Annie herself noticed that there is a lot of people who she didn't know, and that seems strange to her because she thought Ellen wasn't a social type of person, since in the funeral she said that her mother was private. This is the first clue that we have, and the deep secret between all Ellen's unknown friends is discovered at the last part of the movie. Then we have Charlie, who is the main character of Hereditary, as the evil things that first and last happen are because of her existence. At first, we don't notice that, but once the movie has finished, we realize that every detail that Charlie did was because of a reason. Charlie was always a strange girl who doesn't have friends and likes to make weird toys with everything she finds, especially with real heads of dead animals, as we see in the first part of the movie, when she cuts with scissors the head of a dead bird and hides it for later. At the beginning, right after the funeral of her grandmother, Charlie said to Annie, her mother, that Ellen wanted her to be a boy, and so here we have the second clue of what really happened after the death of Ellen.
You know you were her favorite, right?
There is also Peter, the older brother. He is like any normal teenager who likes to party, and who especially likes a girl from his class. He never had a really good relationship with his mother Annie, and he is the one who anything causes the death of her sister Charlie. Peter is the main key of all the secret conflict going on. Last, and especially important, is Annie, the mother of Charlie and Peter and the daughter of Ellen, who came from a family with mental diseases and who maybe has one too. She is an independent woman and the one who deals the most with the deaths of Ellen and Charlie, so in consequence, she changes totally her relationship with her husband Steve and her children. She starts going to help sessions to overcome the deaths, and there she tells the story of her family and how her brother suicide, and how in a note he left he said that he did it because her mother wanted to put strange people on his head. Also, how Ellen was always interested in Charlie's growth, that even she once wanted to feed her when she was a baby by breastfeeding, and how when Peter was born, her mother was never present because by that time they were both apart. So this is the third clue.
Woman, which maybe explains me.
I recognize you from your mother.
What? Sometimes I swear I can feel them in the room. Even when you're a little baby, she wouldn't let me feed you because she needed to feed you.
Annie has a strange hobby, which is to make miniature models of everything she imagines or sees. For example, Charlie's death. Also, she has a miniature model of the house all the Graham family live in and miniature models of every member of the family. This is an essential part because the miniature toys of themselves are just a model and a symbol of the house itself. When the lights of the miniature house are on, the lights on the real one are on too. When a member of the family is on a room inside the house, the miniature model of the same member is on that room too. And the most important, there is the part when Annie put the miniature model of her mother on the door of her bedroom, which is a symbol that Ellen, even after her death, is still looking out for them and waiting the moment she will carry out her plan with the help of her friends, who were the same ones at the church in the funeral. Also, Annie is the one who finds out about the plan that her mother had on the photo albums she used to have. But when she does, it's too late, which also causes the death of Steve. Talking Talking about the events, first it's the death of Ellen, then the death of Charlie when she goes with Peter to a party and she has an allergic reaction with the cake she eats because it had nuts. And on the first scene of the funeral, her father Steve asked her if the chocolate she was eating had nuts, and so we conclude Charlie is allergic to nuts. On the party, Charlie finds it hard to breathe, so she looks for Peter and they drive really fast to the hospital, while Charlie is getting out of breath on the back seat. She puts the window down and pulls out her head to breathe better, but as fast as Peter drives, she didn't notice that there was a post, and then it decapitates her.
You okay?
Later, we found out the truth, which is that first of all, Ellen had a secret satanic life, and she did rites with the sect she was in, all to invoke a demon called Paimon. Paimon is a demon that prefers man bodies to reborn in, and who likes to be adored by decapitated people and bloody rituals. This is the heritage that Helen left. She wanted to bring this demon to life, and so she had to find a man's body to do it. But with her son, she couldn't because he committed suicide to avoid this to happen, and the only man left was Peter. But earlier, Annie had mentioned that Ellen was absent when he grew up and when he was a child, so Ellen used a plan B, which was using Charlie's body to put Paimon there and wait for Annie to evoke it inside the house and slowly turn Peter vulnerable and a little insane for Paimon to take his body.
At the end.
Ellen didn't do this all alone. Here is when all her known and secret friends come in. First, they took the body of the cemetery and put it on the attic and cut her head, leaving her body decapitated, with the symbol of Paimon on the wall. Also, a really important character that takes Annie to invoke Charlie was Joan. She pushes her to do it, and Annie fell on the trap. Finally, we know at the end that Charlie had Paimon inside, and that's why she died the way she did, and she acted the same way. Nothing is a coincidence. Also, Annie found on the photo album later that her mother and Joanne were friends because they both belonged to the same sect. Here, the house takes big importance because it is the sanctuary and the main place of all the rites going on, since the dead body of Ellen till the invocations of Charlie and the symbols inside the house never end. On the final, we see Paimon, which means Charlie speaking through the body of Peter, who became vulnerable enough to be possessed. And finally, Paimon is adored with the dead head of Charlie on an altar. and all the disciples are also there. Everything happens on the old little house on the woods that Charlie used to have. After Annie is also possessed and takes her head away with knives, and the old friends of Ellen appear naked all around the house, Ellen achieves what she wanted since the beginning, and the soul of Charlie and Paimon becomes adored.